He believed his wealth made him untouchable. When the arrogant rich kid slammed the young waitress's face into the diner table over a tiny spill of sauce, he laughed like nothing in the world could stop him. In that moment he had no idea he'd crossed the wrong line. The diner door suddenly burst open and the entire room seemed to freeze. A Navy SEAL stepped inside, massive, calm, and unreadable, his 90-pound German Shepherd moving beside him like a shadow. The bully had just made the worst mistake of his life. The sun sat directly overhead, merciless and blazing, cooking the streets of Port Haven, Oregon. The usual coastal breeze was absent, leaving behind thick, humid air that clung to skin and shortened tempers. The town smelled of drying seaweed, diesel fuel, and salt water drifting in from the harbor. It was the kind of heat that slowed people down and made frustration rise easily. At the heart of town stood the Harbor Light Diner, an old building that had survived storms, recessions, and time itself. Its windows were layered with flyers for local events, and its buzzing neon open sign fought against the bright daylight. Inside, dockworkers escaped the heat, retirees sipped endless coffee, and families crowded into cracked vinyl booths. The diner looked worn, but it was strong, much like the people who depended on it. Outside, under the wide branches of an ancient oak, a massive black pickup truck idled quietly. Dust coated its sides, proof of long highway miles. Standing beside it was Zion Scott. At 6'4", with shoulders stretched against a plain gray t-shirt, Zion carried himself with controlled power. He was a Navy SEAL on leave, and even at rest, his awareness never shut off. His sun-bronzed skin and sharp, flint-colored eyes told stories he never needed to speak. Zion poured water into a collapsible bowl for Titan, his German Shepherd partner. The dog was large, disciplined, and intensely alert, yet calm, trained for chaos but steady in peace. Zion rested a hand on Titan's neck briefly, a silent exchange of trust between warrior and guardian. They were on a long drive north, stopping only for coffee and rest. The calm shattered when a cherry-red sports car roared into the parking lot. It didn't belong here. The engine revved loudly, demanding attention. Out stepped Preston Vance III, dressed in expensive linen and entitlement, followed by Serena Sterling, flawless and disgusted by everything around her. Zion watched quietly from the shade, already sensing trouble in the air. Inside the Harbor Light, the air conditioner rattled endlessly, mixing with the smells of bacon grease and fresh coffee. Sunlight slipped through dusty blinds, illuminating scuffed floors and well-used booths. For locals, this diner wasn't just a restaurant, it was comfort, routine, and safety. Josie Adams moved through the space with tired precision. At just 22, she carried exhaustion far beyond her years. Her pale blue uniform was clean but worn, her apron frayed from endless shifts. Dark circles framed her hazel eyes, the result of sleepless nights worrying about her grandmother's medical bills. Still, she smiled genuinely, refilling mugs and asking regulars about their families. The front door opened, letting in a blast of heat, and the problem that followed. Preston and Serena didn't wait to be seated. They slid into a booth like they owned the place. Serena immediately complained about sticky tables and filthy air. Preston smirked, waving it off, mocking the town openly. Josie approached, balancing a heavy tray meant for another table. She politely told them she'd be right with them. As she passed, Preston stretched his leg into the aisle, on purpose. His shoe hooked her ankle. Josie gasped as she stumbled forward. The tray tilted. A small container of marinara sauce flew through the air and landed squarely on Serena's white dress. The stain spread instantly like a wound. Silence slammed down on the diner. Then Serena screamed. Her shrill rage cut through the room as she leapt to her feet, hurling insults. Josie panicked, apologizing repeatedly, reaching out with napkins to help. That's when Serena slapped her, hard. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Before anyone could react, Preston stood. He grabbed Josie by the hair, rage twisting his face. He shoved her forward, slamming her face into the table. Silverware rattled as he held her down, snarling threats inches from her ear. The diner froze in horror. At that exact moment, the front door chimed. Sunlight flooded in, then disappeared behind a massive silhouette. Zion Scott stepped inside, calm and controlled. Titan followed, silent but deadly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop instantly. Zion didn't shout. He didn't rush. He simply moved. Titan's low growl vibrated through the floor as Zion approached. Preston felt it before he saw it, the instinctive fear of prey sensing a predator. He turned his head and came face to face with the German Shepherd's bared teeth. Then Zion's hand locked onto Preston's shoulder. With precise pressure on a nerve cluster, Zion shut Preston down instantly. Pain shot through the rich kid's arm, forcing his grip to release. Preston yelped, collapsing backward as Zion guided him away from Josie with effortless control. "Let her go," Zion said quietly. Preston obeyed. Titan positioned himself between the attacker and the waitress, an unbreakable wall of muscle and threat. Serena tried to recover by pulling out her phone, screaming threats about recording everything. Zion looked at her, really looked at her. The confidence drained from her face. Her phone slipped from her hand. Zion turned back to Josie, his voice suddenly gentle. He handed her napkins, helped her stand, and made sure she was safe. Then he faced Preston and Serena again. "Leave," Zion said. "But, to go." They ran. Moments later, sirens screamed into the parking lot. Sheriff Miller arrived, immediately siding with the Vances. He threatened Zion, escalating the situation, until Zion calmly produced his military identification. Everything changed. Federal authorities shut the sheriff down instantly. Witnesses spoke up. Lies collapsed. The Vances were forced to flee. But the cruelty didn't stop there. Josie soon learned her landlord was evicting her, clearly retaliation ordered by Preston's father. Zion didn't hesitate. He drove Josie home, met her grandmother, and stayed. He fixed gates, rebuilt steps, and restored dignity with his own hands. When hired thugs later ambushed him at the docks, Zion and Titan dismantled them with terrifying efficiency. Zion recovered proof, text messages linking the Vance family directly to the attack. The storm was coming. The next day, Port Haven's elite gathered at the Vance estate for their annual charity gala. Wealth shimmered. Lies flowed freely. Preston's father took the stage, painting his son as a victim. Then black government vehicles arrived. Zion stepped out in full Navy dress uniform. Titan stood beside him, flawless and disciplined. An FBI agent followed. On the massive screen behind the stage, the truth played. Security footage. Assault. Proof. Then the text messages appeared. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the Vance empire collapsed in real time. Father and son were arrested. The sheriff lost his badge. Serena disappeared into the chaos. Justice had arrived, clean, undeniable, final. A week later, Port Haven felt different. Lighter. Safer. Josie moved through the diner with confidence now. Her home was repaired. Her future protected. When Zion prepared to leave, he gave her something priceless, a Navy SEAL Challenge coin. "You stood your ground," he told her. "That makes you one of us." Zion and Titan drove away, leaving behind more than justice. They left hope.